other thing is, when I talk to the most successful advisors, increasingly they are specialists who've narrowed the focus of the work they do to excel with a client segment that they focused on. So for example, one advisor in Philadelphia who runs $4 billion for 50 clients, so $80 million each on average.
That sounds like the ideal business, like the ideal...
I think many advisors who look at that said, okay, where do I sign up? But his focus is on families and individuals and businesses that operate internationally, that operate across jurisdictions. So he's developed a unique expertise, and he's brought to bear a unique expertise in his team on all of the issues that are hot buttons for those kinds of clients.
Right.
And whether it be currency issues, tax issues, simple things like how do you transfer, given anti-money laundering laws, how do you transfer assets from one bank account to another in different jurisdictions?
And it's really the thinnest edge of the wedge, isn't it? I mean, it's so specific.
But the narrower, the better. And so that's more and more when I talk to the most successful advisors. Now, very few only work with that client niche because they have legacy clients. There are other clients that refer to them. So just because he focuses on clients who operate internationally, he still gets referred, because he does a great job, to clients that may not need that specific niche. Yeah. But in terms of his core value proposition, it's being differentiated. Many advisors, in my view, when it comes to attracting clients, there are two things that you have to do. You have to do a great job of telling your story. And most advisors are pretty good at that.
Right.
But before you do that, you have to have a compelling story to tell. And that's the problem for most advisors that are generalists. They deal with pre-retires in the morning and retirees at lunch and business owners in the afternoon. And, they maybe do just fine, but guess what? Other advisors also will do just fine. And so it's that discipline to focus, to narrow the kinds of clients that you serve primarily so that you can excel in terms of the kinds of value that you provide. And that's how you get past that value trap. That's how you get past that client who says, I can't get my head around paying $1,000 a month for the rest of my life for that thing.
It's incredible. I mean, I think it's such a hard idea for so many advisors to wrap their heads around is that when you become more specific, when you become more focused on one kind of complexity and you become the expert at that, that's worth far more than being all things to all people.
Well, you look at it from the client's point of view. And look, what are clients looking for?
Well, it speaks to that. Right. It speaks to that client, right?
It speaks to that client. Yeah. They're looking to reduce risk. They're looking to be confident in terms of the decision they make and the advisor they work for. And, one of the things that happens if you narrow your group, you get the safety in numbers phenomenon. So you get word of mouth. Yeah. You focus on a narrow segment. I was talking to one advisor in Calgary. And he started off saying, I'm going to deal with retirees, but he discovered everyone's dealing with retirees. Nothing differentiated.
Nothing special about that.
So he started focusing on retirees who are snowbirds, who spend 4 or 5, 6 months a year, whether it be in Palm Springs or in Arizona.
Yeah.
And so developed expertise because now he understands, tax issues, estate planning issues, started having currency conversations. So he started actually putting into client portfolios U.S. dollar securities. So to take some of the volatility in terms of currency kind of issues and fluctuations. He goes and actually, this is a tough job, but someone has to do it. He goes and travels to Arizona and Palm Springs a couple of times each winter. He says he has yet to come back without getting a new client. And he's doing a bunch of things that the generalist advisor just cannot do. So it's the power of specialization.
Isn't that interesting? I mean, that means that, at the end of that conversation, how does that client say, I could go anywhere for this?
So this advisor, what he does every fall is he does morning workshops. And he addresses the hot button issues for snowbirds. He also, you know what, the number one hot button issue, the big attraction is someone from the police department to talk about security. So when you're away from home, how do you secure your home while you're away? And so you'd say, well, you know, you're only talking to clients that are snowbirds. Someone who's not a snowbird isn't interested. So, you know, that you're narrowing your focus. You're leaving all of these great prospects. But, you know, one of the things you're far better off to have intense appeal to a small group, to the right group, rather than having moderate appeal to everybody.
Right.
The other comment he makes is that 40 or 50% of the people who show up aren't clients. They're prospective clients, someone who's been talking to, or a friend of one of his clients who comes along. And he says, once somebody walks in the door, he says 70, 80% of the time, he's going to get at least some of their money. Because he, again, is providing a relevant value proposition and a unique value proposition for that client that a generalist advisor cannot.
It's actually, I think what I like about this conversation is that on one level it's very simple. I mean, the way that you boiled it down, it's more complex than that, but it really requires becoming the subject matter expert in a particular niche of client and then delivering it.
You know, remember two things: telling your story well, but having a great story to tell. And that's what specialization is all about.
And as usual, great conversation. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. My pleasure.